Welcome to the Truth webinar series, where we unpack loyalty insights and enjoy discussions with loyalty leaders. Today's webinar, I'm really excited to take a completely different approach and introduce a program that exists in South Africa, which is really making waves, but in a very impactful way, not just because of the benefit to consumers, but mainly because of the insights. Well, obviously benefits to consumers, but the insights that are generated is what I'm really, really interested to talk to Mark about today. So the interview I have today is with Mark Bradshaw. He's the CEO and founder of Snapnsave. And in our preparation for today's webinar, Mark mentioned that they started with a blank sheet of paper in 2016, and 2 or 3 months later, they had the concept and launch of Snapnsave. So very pleased to welcome you, Mark, to the Truth webinar series. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks for having me.
So, Mark, just give us a little sense of you so we know who we're talking to in terms of 2016, blank sheet of paper. What on earth made your brain tick in that way? What's your background that got you to that blank sheet of paper to create what is no longer a blank sheet of paper, which is a fantastic company called Snapnsave?
I mean, the story goes back a bit before even starting that. So I'm a boring accountant by profession, a chartered accountant, and was working in the finance side. But I was very fortunate then to get involved in working in the commercial side of a company called BioOil in South Africa, which is a big skincare brand. I call it the Red Bull of skincare. And they were on a mass kind of rollout, trying to look and launch into multiple markets around the world. And it was kind of working on that side, on the brand side. So I didn't really come from the reward space, but working on the brands. And at that time, got lucky enough to go and live in LA for a couple of years and go and help the brand out and launching in the US and South America. And it was while I was there that I kind of saw a couple of things that were interesting to me. One was how shopping behavior was changing, in that you were having these plethora of stores or specialized stores opening up based on convenience and location, and obviously the boom of online, which we all kind of know about now. But saw the frustration for shoppers in the kind of reward space, and that I was shopping in multiple locations, but I was never getting rewarded for the products I was buying, but for where I was shopping. So I likened it to, I've got a very sensitive skin and I can only buy a particular brand of shaving cream. But if I happen to nip in and shop at one retailer because it was close to me where I was working at a store, it would often be off promotion, and I wasn't being rewarded because a promotion was running at another retailer. And kind of saying is, how could you as a shopper be rewarded for the products you buy, not for where you shop effectively, which is where a lot of retailer rewards programs are associated with where you go shopping. On the flip side, obviously working on the brand side, I was working through with some of these big retailers and kind of saw what was starting to be a big challenge in how do you understand, or better, and that stage kind of digital marketing was taking off, and how do you better understand your consumer? How do you talk to your consumer as a brand when they're shopping at these multiple locations? And how do you start engaging them? And how do you build a rewards network or a system whereby I actually know the different consumers, not talking just name and email address. I'm understanding their buying behavior and patterns to start building and talking to consumers that, yes, maybe buying my brand or maybe buying competitor products. But even in that, there's complex tiers of knowing more regular purchasers or buyers and more loyal type of consumers. Now, the big challenge with those brands, as I figured out, was saying, well, you always have to go to kind of through retailers, and you don't have a full extensive network of understanding of this data. And you kind of had this kind of, I use it, a gatekeeper term loosely, in terms of trying to understand and build this relationship with your consumer. So knowing that problem of shoppers wanting rewards wherever they shop linked to products, and knowing the brand problem, was a kind of got together with another smart co-founder of mine who's ex-Pfizer and J&J and Glaxo, and was working extensively in Europe, and identified the same problem and said, how do we solve this? And that was the birth of what we call the Snapnsave cashback platform, which is a rewards platform which kind of solved both those problems. And the rest is history. We sit with a few million shoppers later and kicking off and growing extensively.
Yeah, that's amazing, because you've come at it from a real business problem that you were experiencing, either as a consumer or as in your professional life. So So what we see now, I mean, we're a few weeks after the launch of the Truth and Brand Map Loyalty White Paper 2023/4. And what we're seeing already is the Snap and Save Cashback Club features in the top 10 most used, and I know you won't like the term retail program because you're not a retailer, but it's mixed within the retailers for the mass market consumer, and number 17 for the what we term the economically active consumer, which is a monthly household income of 10,000 Rand or more per month. So you are as a rewards brand and proposition featuring more highly for a more mass market consumer, but certainly you're still within the top 20 for the wealthier consumers. So it's an all-round proposition for South Africans, and I'm sure beyond South Africa. But what, as I said in the introduction, what interests me the most actually are the insights that are generated, because I think that's the bit that anyone going into loyalty, when they create a fantastic loyalty program, they know ultimately that's what they're trying to get to. So you may not have started with that intention, you may well have started with that intention, but you certainly got that, and you've shared some of those with me over the years. And that's what truly interests me and what I want to share with the audience from Truth webinars. So you're sitting with the ability to use rewards and first party data in the real time to actually drive a change in profitability and share gain. So let's just quickly remind everybody what Snap and Save Cashback Club is. Mark, you mentioned it, a couple of million members. So if you can give everyone an overview of what the value proposition is, how it works very briefly, and then I'd love to get into actually those insights.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the problem we were looking to solve for consumers or shoppers was the ability to get cashback rewards anywhere you shop. And again, then on the flip side, the problem for brands being the ability to communicate and understand consumer insights and data. And I think with that, was the birth of what we call the Snap and Save Rewards platform. And I talk to it like you understand platforms and maybe like an Airbnb, where you've got people who are looking for places to stay, and you've got people providing places to stay, and Uber's got drivers and riders. So on the Snap and Save platform, we've got what we call shoppers, which is associated with the brand, what we call the Snap and Save Cashback Club. And then on the flip side, we've got of the platform, we've got what we call Snap and Save Promote, which is where brands can go and get value and engage on their side. So our drivers and riders, again, are shoppers and CPG type brands who sell products at multiple locations. Then with the Cashback Club, I think the biggest challenge we had was, well, how do you make deals available wherever you shop, or how do you launch a rewards program? And we started with the fun journey of going, let's go and integrate into all the retailer point of sale systems, which is a near impossible task to do. And we quickly, after a month, realized this wasn't going to happen. And Amanda, I'd love to claim it as my own idea, but we sought a platform or a solution kicking off in the US, which was done by two clever Harvard boys, where they actually said, listen, we're not going to go and integrate into point of sale. What we're going to do is take a photocopy of a till slip and allow consumers to upload till slips. And with that, we would use OCR technology to read the till slip and validate what was purchased. And then when a consumer goes into store, purchase a product that's promoted on our Snap and Save Cashback Club, they then take a photo of their till slip, we recognize it, and whatever they've purchased that's on promotion, we would then put into what we term a Snap and Save wallet, which they can then cash out directly to bank account once they've earned funds and money. So what we then did with the solution, and that's the key, is this till slip, because this till slip is the actual enabler behind some of the insights that excite you and you want to talk about data. But it gave us ability to run promotions at any retailer. It gave us the ability to access real-time purchase data. And then more importantly, it gave us ability to reward the consumer by giving a cashback or money back to be paid into their bank accounts however and whenever they wanted to. So that was the key aha moment for us in terms of the Cashback Club. To your point, when we started, and it's great to hear some of those stats kicking off and where we sit now, I remember going around in the beginning and everyone said, no one's going to take a photo of their till slip. Who's going to do that? And who's going to take a till slip selfie? And as we've attested to now, we have a till slip uploaded in under every 8 seconds on the platform now. Wow. So it really shows the growth and value that's come through. That's the Cashback Club in its ecosystem. And then obviously that data is where we take the till slip data that you're uploading. We use that and we analyze and cut and dice data, and then use that to enable brands to then go and build insights. So build kind of what I took Nielsen type insights, go you want to understand more about your consumers, or we allow them to build insights to go and target consumers with promotions through the cashback club based on their objective. And obviously that can be building market share, like you said, to increasing profitability by saving on certain mechanisms. There's multiple channels depending on that brand's objective. We all know that everyone's got different challenges that they're facing at the moment.
Yeah.
And that was then the second part of the story was on the platform was the launch of Snapnsave Promote, which was this channel. And I always tell people, think of it, Snapnsave Promote, like Facebook advertising. It's just a place where you go to load your campaigns and engage the audience. That's the
Yeah, and I think that's the bit that people who aren't involved in what you're doing or working with you could possibly even begin to understand the power of that. So you mentioned OCR technology. So there's lots of people listening who will understand that, lots who may not. Can you explain that, please?
Yeah, no, I say it because I've been eating and breathing and sleeping, and so it's a good point. A lot of people may not know what it is. So OCR technology is basically the ability to read data off a photograph. And it's some of you may use it in your everyday life when you now have expense claims and you take a photo and you upload it and it records the expense claim for you. Other accountant type people may use it when they get a bank statement and it can go in a post to accounting, to accounting ledgers. So really OCR is reading data off a till slip or off a photograph, and then taking that data and translating it. Now, the skill is these days is not very much about reading the data. In other words, I always say if you think OCR, it pops all the text that's on a till slip up in the air and think of it floating around. That's quite the easy part to do. The hard part is then mapping that data and going and saying, okay, the till slip is not perfectly where Clicks is different to a Dis-Chem, a retailer, or Superdrug is very different to a Boots, etc. in a UK term. So how do you read that data and translate what's in there into the meaningful data that a brand or a consumer can use at the end of the day? So again, OCR is really just using that photo to try and get data off it.
Great. No, I know you use it not loosely but frequently, but I just wanted to make sure everyone understood that. I was listening to a global webinar podcast, excuse me, quite recently around FMCG or CPG, it's typically called outside of South Africa, and then also around D2C for some of the fashion brands or maybe toy brands like a Lego and so forth. And there was a big debate around till slip scanning, some pro and some con around it. And typically the conclusion that it was the loyalty podcast run by Ian Pringle. The conclusion was it really doesn't necessarily work for every single industry, but certainly works for grocery. Like it has a huge success for lots of elements of grocery, but maybe is less impactful for some of the brands like a Nike who are working for D2C. So I know the examples you've given us are very much in the space of more grocery type experiences, but what's your views just on that before we get into the case studies?
I think it's twofold. So the D2C is, I agree with you 100%. D2C, you have a direct relationship with your customer, right? So let's take Apple. You walk into an Apple store, they know who you are, you register with them, and you've got a direct relationship at that point in time.
Yeah.
Where the challenge comes in is where you have these mass distributed products. So again, let's take any nappies brand. That nappies brand, you're not walking into the nappies store and buying the nappies and then walking into a bread store and buying the bread. That's in the good old 60s and 70s in South Africa and earlier in that, where you had the mass supermarkets coming along, is sold through multiple touch points. Just think of Coca-Cola. You've got it buying in a restaurant, you've got it buying in multiple touch points. So the ability, the need for the data is more when you've got this challenge of not being able to engage directly with your customer, and that is grocery, alcohol type consumer products. And again, you do then have this hybrid mix, and I use Levi's jeans as a good one, right? So you can go into stores where Levi's jeans is shopped in multiple locations, it's mass, but you also have a Levi's store effectively. That can also work where you've got that hybrid type model where how we look.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's start unpacking the insights because that's the bit that gets me excited. So you and I have chatted about this, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and then feel free just to whack us with lots of insights,
Well,
Mark. So
this
the
is more your
first,
game, Amanda, from the rewards side. As I said, I'm not from the rewards space, being from the brand side. So this is always the interesting part as we unpack more and learn about the capabilities of the platform.
yeah. Yeah, totally, absolutely. I mean, I think if loyalty programs only serve the purpose of a loyalty program, i.e., reward for that one exchange or that one transaction, life would be a lot simpler, but it would be an incredibly expensive industry for that small amount of return. It's this bit that what we're about to talk about is where the real
Yeah.
juice comes from it and the real return on investment, I'd imagine. So we talked about how your data is used in terms of competitor activity, and you gave a lovely example in the mum and babe category. So could you talk us through that one? I really like that.
Yeah, so as an example, so if we take a till slip and we took a look of the data of what we can take off a particular till slip and look at that information, we've got sort of a nappies partner saying, listen, I'm losing market share, I'm going back on market share. Is it possible that you could do two things for me? One, I want to try and protect my current customers who are buying my brand and make sure they don't jump off. And two, can I try and get customers who I know are shopping for nappies, not I think are shopping for nappies, or could be, or potentially, that are buying a competitor brand that I could go and target with a promotion to go and purchase and trial my product. And it was at that stage we said, hey, well, what we have on this rewards platform is a couple of things. We've got a couple of million shoppers. And in those shopper base, what we can do is we can go and look at our till slip data and directly go and extract information that says who of those are buying your brand. And we tiered it into a couple of tiers. One is buying it every month. As a nappy, you would buy every single month, or two, buying it once a quarter. Then we also said, let's go and look at the shoppers who are buying your competitors and buying it every single month to pick up, let's call it a data set or a super audience that we could target. And with that, what we said is we created different strategies to target that audience. Again, we know that people are buying nappies, but it's their behavior that we're looking at. One, we went and said, well, with the loyal shoppers buying every single month, what we wanted to do is run a promotion that was only targeted to them, and that's only they would see it on the cashback club. So it's not like we run it for everyone. So we to optimize targeting. And what we would do is run a promotion whereby if they purchased a nappy every single for every 3 months, they would receive a reward at month 3, right? With the shoppers that were purchasing only once in a 3-month, we made it buy twice in a 3-month and receive a reward. And then the third element we did was with the competitors, we said, try the brand, just buy 1 pack of our product, and we will then go in and offer you a reward at a 1-for-1. So it was kind of a 3-to-1 month approach that we took with the different promotions. Now, excitingly for us with that was obviously from a competitor promotion, we were now serving messages to these customers to go and buy through the rewards program. But more importantly was what we could further take was go and analyze and look at it when people were shopping. What is the best time to send that message to you, Amanda? Because I can just spray you a message right now while we're talking and it pops up on your WhatsApp that says, go and get a promotion for this nappy, but you're distracted. You're busy doing something else. You're not involved. So what we were then able to do is go and say, and I'll take your profile as an example, assuming you were the competitor shopper. Oh, look, Amanda tends to go shopping on a Thursday afternoon, and that's her most time of shopping. We're going to show that message to Amanda at that specific time to be high awareness at the point of purchase.
Wow.
So what we were taking is those small tidbits of information to then sort of target and work down. We presented that to the brand or the partner we were working with, and I said, this is great, but I don't have enough money to reach all of these people. Can we start narrowing down a little bit further and get more hyper targeted? So we took those concepts, and what we started doing and saying, listen, it's more probable that the people that are going to buy the brands are going to have a slightly higher income. And we tick the target range, and based on their insights that they are going to be a certain age demographic in terms of meeting it. So we narrowed down that to create this optimum target market that we could address. So we then ran this promotion where we both put the promotion on the rewards program. So think of it like any retailer rewards app where you can go and see your deals or what's available. You can check in. So it's both a pull and push marketing approach. We also then sent multiple communications via email, via SMS, or via push notification to make you or that person aware of the promotion. So it was showing this the power, Amanda, in one, getting the right customer, serving it to them, and then serving it to them at the right time when they needed to see the message that we used those insights to. From there, we would then, yep, carry on.
No, carry on, carry on. I was just gonna, my response to that is, so many organizations may claim to get the right customer, but a very few, I think, are using the time of day opportunity, you know. So and that to me really hits me hard in terms of how that'll be more impactful.
100%. I mean, it's kind of interesting, even in the types of message we serve, we've kind of realized three kind of profiles. So we get what we call like the Gen X's, as we are kind of fit in, where you read more if you're receiving a message by email, you want more editorial and supportive content, you want to read, right, about it. You then get what the millennial ones, people who don't want to read, they want a YouTube video. So when you send the message to tell the people about the promotion, watch the video, right? Whereas then you kind of get the next kind of generation, alphas or getting, etc., which want the gifts and the quick TikTok, you know, kind of quick and short and sharp and sweet, right? And then you get my older, you know, my mom older than me who wants the doctor's recommended, you know, she's not trusting anything else other than what the doctor, what the professionals recommended.
She's definitely not going to trust TikTok.
Exactly. So even in that, in looking at the profiles of the people, and this is where data and insights is so key, because it's that in my accountant term, the giant pivot table, right? It's the how are you analyzing and looking and talking to different people, one at the right time, the right people, and with the right message. And that's so critical than just a general spray and pray kind of approach to where it goes to.
Well, congratulations. I mean, just that one example, and I know you gave me a few categories it works really powerfully for. You mentioned laundry as well, and I can see how it would absolutely catch the right response rates with that level of personalization and targeting. So I'm loving hearing about it.
I
The
think
other
about
piece,
you said the right response rate, sorry, and I just want to get what were the results, right? It's all very well we did this, but what were the actual results of that? And I think critically, and I just want to use the segment that was talking around the trying to go after a competitor, right? Is critically what we were able to do is that we were able to achieve up to 60% conversion rate of those customers that we targeted. Now that's a massive over a 12-week period, right? But what was more important for us wasn't that we just got someone to buy once, right? So what we then did after the campaign is we re-engaged shoppers as a reminder, those people who tried, and we reminded them about the brand, the benefits, and where they on it, which meant that we had a rebuy rate of around 40% of that after we did the conversion. So it was about, and I say, we're getting market share and profitability. It's not a once-off flash in a pan, off you go, get it. It's a repeat buying behavior customer that's very important. So the ROIs for a brand suddenly became, I spend 100 Rand and I'm getting a lifetime shopper who's getting me 12 months, 24 months of purchases. It's off the charts.
That's actually I remember a million discussions with a gentleman called Simon Sussman, who was at the time the CEO and then the chairman of Woolworths when I worked at Woolworths. And he often used to challenge us on that, on the work we were doing with the Woolworths database and the CRM and personalization. And this was years ago. This is over 15 years ago. And he used to say, Amanda, prove to me the stickiness, prove to me what happens after the campaign, after you've spent this marketing money, and after you've got that great response rate, prove to me the stickiness. So that's great when the stats you've got that just talk around that increase in repetitive behavior, even without a campaign. You've switched the brand.
And that's the key for us, and that's why when, you know, in terms of working with partners and relationships that we like building, it's not just this one sort of pop, come in and disappear and go again. It's building that, and again, it shows the value in the tool slip data because we get the next purchase. So we know what you did the next time, right? Which is feeding in. So we know Amanda did this.
Exactly.
All about targeting, and what did we get again? It's not, and this is where when we went back, Amanda, we were building this, we often had the concept of like, we could go and run this as sort of one-off campaigns and one-off little things for brands, but why did we create the rewards platform? One, we had a clear understanding that as a shopper, you wanted to go to one place to get your discounts and promotions, not jump and start going one campaign and one, you know, all over as brands then ran different campaigns. It was one location, almost like one supermarket for all your shop. The second side is that we wanted to create that behavior to build this repetitive data insight and set. So our engagement levels and what we get as results is about of looking both at the continue looking at the needs of both the shopper and the brand to build this ecosystem that's building as it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love that. Let's switch a little bit out of campaigns and a little bit around media choice. So we've had many a discussion about this. Can you share with our audience of the webinar how this data is being used to better the results of media spend decisions and so on?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, our realization was that often brands have a challenge that is not just linked to growing market share, right? And we use the term, we started looking at market share and what we term profitability. One is also an insight to the need for them to better understand their customers. So what we were saying is, hey, how do we give access to brands, the information that we have, how do we give them access to that information in a secure and format? And run sort of panels and data insights and surveys that we can run. But the other one that came to us was saying, listen, we understand that brands are trying to reach customers in many different channels. So I'd be silly to assume that they just wanted to use me or just use a Google or Facebook, etc. So how can we try and assist brands with the data that we have to better target and achieve results in other channels? So I think a year or two back, I forget the timing now, Amanda, the concept of the ability to start using data or to plug it into your social media channels or Google channels became an option. I think the term was lookalike audiences with the big hot buzzword that it was.
Yeah.
And what we quickly realized is that what we could do is work with brands where we could access and use our data to help them create better lookalike audiences from the specific information that we have and have available. So that concept of using in a case that we build a profile of a consumer, and we'll say, and I'm going to use you again, Amanda, because I'm staring at you on my screen and busy talking, and say, right, let's build a profile of Amandas who are aged between X and X and that are buying.
You're very polite there. You're
well,
very polite on that point there, Mark.
I gave the generation X away earlier, so I didn't say when in the generation X. I hid it away. No, but it's so looking at the profile of consumers, looking who's buying the specific brand, and we can then use that data to transfer to be able to use by brands in their own audiences. Now, the big one is not just using the profile, it's the touch points that we have to match data in it. So it's quite key for us. So if those of you who've ever done it before, you know, well, you can get a profile of people and build your lookalike audience that you use against it, but it's what touch points do we have? And in our data set, we've got so many personable touch sets that we can use to better and improve that data and lookalike in the site. And I use it from device IDs and various other identifiers we have.
I think it's fantastic, honestly, especially in the, I see data as well around actual consumers in surveys saying, you know what, I don't want to be targeted through Facebook ads. I don't want to be, there's a real shift away from how consumers are feeling about how their data is being used. So if it can be used in a more clever way that consumers feel comfortable, they've given permission because they're joining the program, and the brands are getting a better response in the media spend, then all the better. That actually leads me to the last point I wanted to just quickly chat to you about. I'm a big fan of insight from data, from actual behavioral data, combined with research where customers claim XYZ, because you can't always see the results in data. You can see a lot, obviously, and often much more than anyone could ever imagine. But often there's something that's not answered. There's something that you need to go into research for. And traditional research is very expensive. You can waste time. It takes forever sometimes. Tell me a little bit about how you've also entered into the research environment with surveys and polls and to get quick and immediate responses.
Yeah, so what we realize is that we have this platform, which is not just a push type market, or I always get my push and pulls mixed surprise. You've got customers coming to us who are looking as part of their shopping behavior to use the rewards club or the cashback club to get benefits. And what we realized is there was an ecosystem of high engagement. And what I mean by that is that you're looking for the products you want to buy, you're looking to be rewarded, you're not reading the newspaper and on the side you're getting served an advert and getting distracted, right, on the side. And what we realized with that, it was a very powerful time for brands to engage consumers to, while they were in this moment of behavior, to ask questions. And to your point, it's sort of qualitative and the good old qual and quantitative type data type insights. It was a good time to offer the consumer to run a survey, to ask the question. And I always go think about those people used to sit with notice boards in the store, you know, those in-store activators, ask the questions to the consumer, and at the same time reward them for that specific survey that they're running. So we launched what we call Snap and Save Promote surveys, which really then a brand can run a survey, be it quantitative or qualitative, where they can ask brands specific information, or sorry, ask shoppers specific information that they have against their objectives. And I'll use a case study in the side. We had, again, let me take a feminine hygiene brand who was launching a new TV advert. And this feminine hygiene brand was looking to ask consumers, again, the right people. So it wanted to ask people buying its brand and people who are buying a competitor brand to watch this video and then answer certain questions of the back to optimize what this video is going to hit the right messages for them. Now that, because of the engagement of the platform, they were looking for a certain survey number that we could hit. We basically placed that video as onto the publication, onto the rewards program. Consumers quickly watched the video, were asked a question, and at the completion, they were then given money into their cashback wallet as a form of reward that they were able to do. Now, the speed and time of that ability to run that was running with high engagement consumers that we hit the results quicker than they'd seen before. I don't know what it was. They've told me it was that. But more importantly, the insights were valuable because it was asking the right people the questions, Amanda. It wasn't just asking a male or someone else going past, let's take feminine hygiene. This was a specific problem in feminine hygiene. We knew the consumers had that problem and that we could address it accordingly in that survey and results that it was. So that is the type of what we call insights data we can gather. We use it ourselves, that tool, to build more data about our consumers. So we will run surveys ourselves. That we build. We always say we've got slip data, we've got what we call contact data, the name, surname, email address, devices, location, etc. And then we have what we call is this demographic or survey data, which we built with the insights that we built over the various customers, and that's the power that we use it for.
Great. Well, we only have time today for those 3 examples, but the 3 of them were so powerful. It was a category market share shift, whether it was baby or laundry in this case. But what I loved about that, just to recap, was the time of day, the hyper personalization, the different offers depending on my competitor brand sort of penetration prior to the campaign, and so much more. And then, as you said, the media savings element, and then the research capability, but also potential cost saving rather than just going out there with research trying to get the right demographic rather than the right actual consumer using the merchandise or products. So we could talk all day, but I quite like to keep these short and sharp, and what I wanted to get out of today's discussion were the insights. So from us at Truth, and I think the broader industry, I just want to say congratulations on what you've achieved in less than 8 years. You saw a business problem or a consumer opportunity, business opportunity, and I know you're not only serving the cashback club, you've also got a white label product that is serving other brands, enabling them to do the same, which I think isn't the purpose of today's discussion, but worth a mention. So Mark, thanks for your time and good luck. I'm crazy about data, crazy about personalization. So I'm really, really grateful to you for sharing that. So thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks for having us.